Evening, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Thursday night. It's an off night for Yankees, but I have two outstanding voices and outstanding minds from the Yankee universe joining me tonight. We're going to talk about the trade deadline. I've got Mr. Jason Custodio in the house, and I got my man Ace from Ace Avenue. Gentlemen, thank you for coming on. Welcome. We're going to talk a little trade deadline. And shout out to everybody in the chat, by the way. Let's get those likes up. It's always greatly appreciated. And if anybody in here is not subscribed to these two channels right here, please make sure you do that right now. I want to support these guys. I want to support the family. Great Yankee people right here. Okay. I thank you for it. Gentlemen, welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Appreciate you for having me.
The honors all mine, man.
This is going to be fun, right? So, I mean, the way I'm looking at it is logical versus essential. I'm thinking Hal Steinbrenner versus George Steinbrenner. If you were Hal, how would you attack the deadline? And if you were George, how would you attack the deadline? Because it's different, right?
It is different.
And it's a different game. And with Hal, they're going to do it differently. So I'd be curious to see what your takes are. And everybody in the chat, leave your questions, leave your comments, okay? We'll definitely put them up as well. So, but guys, I mean, there's a couple of things. I mean, it's definitely going to be a seller's market. I don't know if you agree with me. It's going to be more buyers than sellers. So sellers are probably, and Ace and I have been talking about this last week. Sellers are probably going to have a high premium on prices, right? So you have assets and they're not going to be a lot. They're going to be pricey. So the expectation for teams to get assets is probably going to, when it comes to the Yankees, probably going to be Spencer Jones. It's probably going to be some of these big pieces, right? And other Yankees willing to give it up? I don't know. So, and is anybody worth giving these guys up for? I don't know. And like, what do you guys think? And I'll ask you first, Jason. Like, what do you think the Yankees' major needs right now? Like, how would you attack this if you were? Let's put Hal and George aside for a second. How would you attack this?
If I was the GM, I'd probably reinforce the bullpen. You can never have too many arms. I'm a firm believer in that. And honestly, like Cashman has done so well this offseason that we don't really have desperate needs. So I don't think we don't have to go overpay for anybody, honestly, in my opinion. But if something lands on our lap, then hey, we'll make a move. But yes, I think the biggest need is probably maybe a solid third baseman. I'm not saying we got to get the sexiest name, but maybe something anything that gives us more production than what we're getting right now is a plus.
What's your take, Ace?
I agree. You could always use bullpen. You know what I'm saying? You can never have too many arms, especially when it comes to the playoffs, and especially with how we've been using our starters. You do want to alleviate some of these arms. Max Fried has pitched a lot this year. Rodon has pitched a lot this year. We've tired out the bullpen. But I'm going to agree with third base, but I'm also going to add just get another infielder, because you do, with the addition with Jazz Chisholm, you do have the ability, if a second baseman was to open up, to move Jazz back to third. You know what I'm saying? I personally like Jazz at second base, but if you had an opportunity to get yourself a productive second baseman, the logical move to me would be move Jazz back to third early, and then, we're good to go as far as that. But either third baseman, second baseman, bullpen, and I think we're good to go.
And to your point, too, I mean, I like Jazz because he's interchangeable. He can play either one of those positions. Like, which market's going to be more robust, second base or third? We don't know yet, right? I mean, third base, you look at it, maybe Nolan Arenado. I mean, guys like maybe Ryan McMahon from the Rockies. Second base, you got other guys, like Brandon Lowe, you got Lau, you got some other guys here that could be options for second base. But I don't know. And I think who's going to complement? Like, if Jazz is at second, who would you want to be playing third? And if Jazz is at third, who would you want to be playing second? What's going to be the right mix, right? Because the guy, I don't know about you guys, but I want Brendan Donovan from the Cardinals. But I don't think he's going to be traded. So
No.
I don't think the Cardinals are going to trade him. So, and I mean, you're not going to get him without Spencer Jones. You're not going to get him without big pieces. So, and rightfully so. I completely understand that. So, and I agree too. Bullpen, and there's some rumblings that they're looking for a starter, but like, Ryan Yarbrough is making his case for them to not make a trade for a starter. Right? Yarbrough's pitching well, and Luis Hill's coming back. They might not even need to trade for a starter. Right? You got JT Brubaker who pitched tonight. Fernando Cruz has pitched well yesterday in a throwing session. So we have guys who can throw multiple innings that are about to come back. So
yeah,
does that reduce the need for a starting pitcher? And like, what starting pitchers? And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. Like, if you were Hal, what starting pitcher would you go after? And if you were George, what starting pitcher would you prioritize? Because I think it'd be different.
I know who George is going after. His name is Paul Skeens.
Oh yeah,
but I mean that's
Jason
a
we talked about that a
just
lot.
a touch though.
In length, yeah.
And I mean, like we got to manage our expectations though, right? One thing I say, like the difference between Hal and his dad is his dad operated in a totally different time. They didn't have the CBA agreement, and they didn't have all this stuff. So we got to take that into consideration. You know, I get it. The Yankees, they have money, but they operate. It's a business too, you know. So the whole notion of Hal being cheap, I think we can throw that out the window at this point, man. He's, you know.
And to your point too, the Yankees are Hal's only source of income. George Steinbrenner had the shipping industry to finance the Yankees. He sold that. So it's a different entity. And again, like Steinbrenner was the richest owner in the game back in the day.
Yep.
Like now, Hal Steinbrenner is competing with the Dodgers that are owned by a $400 billion corporation. So like
Cohen,
a completely different universe they're operating in. And you said too, like the Cohen tax that didn't exist during Steinbrenner years. So George Steinbrenner.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. George was rich, right? George wasn't afraid to make the aggressive move. Now you're kind of in a situation now where everybody's rich. All the owners are billionaires. It just depends on how much they want to spend. Obviously, you have cheaper owners like the Pirates, you know what I'm saying, who don't really want to spend. You have the lower markets that are capable of spending, but they just don't want to. And those are the teams that the Yankees are going to have to go after. Not just the Yankees, but other teams are going to have to attack when it comes to the trade deadline. But like Jason, like 161 and I were talking about the other day, I would like the Yankees to be more proactive when it comes to these trades. Don't wait to the deadline, because then, you know, just like we did with Jazz, we were able to get Jazz for, you know, who knows what, if we would have waited to the deadline, what we would have had to give up for Jazz. Like, make the moves now. And there are some names that are out there, and there are some teams that are starting to plummet. Some in our own division, which might cost a little bit more, but some across the way that we might be able to get them early.
Yeah, and then that proactive approach too. What did they get for Jazz? It was Augustin Ramirez and Jared Serna, maybe. I think that was the trade, maybe.
I remember Augustine was the big name.
Yeah.
And he's doing pretty well.
Yeah, and he's doing. But again, like the Yankees are also good at turning out catchers that turn into productive major leaguers. I mean, it's a regular thing with the Yankees. So I'm confident in their ability to reproduce pitchers and catchers. And they've got Austin Walls, they've got JC, they've got these other guys. But like Ace and I were talking about the mother load of trades last week, which is this is the mother load and the grandmother load and the aunt load and the uncle load. This is the Paul Skeens trade with Skeens and Cabrian Hayes, right, to the Yankees for, was it Jones, Dominguez, Lombard?
Jones, Dominguez, Lombard, Will Warren, and Ben Rice.
My God.
It's the farm. Just you know,
if
might as well just
George
get a
was
bus
here,
ready.
he'd do it. If George was here, he would have done it. You want to talk about moves that he would have made?
Yeah.
He'd make that move in a second and throw in some cash consideration. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he had no problem trading prospects for major leaguers, expensive major leaguers. Like he tried to trade Jeter. He tried to trade Rivera. So I'll talk him out of it. So this guy had some balls to him, George. But like, you know, starting pitching, we'll start with that. I mean, how would you attack it with Hal? If you were Hal, how would you attack it if you were George? Jason, I'll give you the floor, man.
I think if I was Hal, you know who I'm going. I'm going after the big names, you know, and he probably trade the whole farm. But I think that realistically, though, the Yankees, right now, it's not like we have some leverage here because we're not desperate. You know, we don't. Fortunately, that we got guys like Will Warren who stepped up. Luis Hill's coming back. Hopefully, he can continue what he did last year. And guys like Yarbrough. So honestly, I don't think we got to go out and make a huge trade like that. You know, I think the big name is Dennis Santana. I mean, not Dennis Santana. Excuse me. Alcantara from the Marlins, right? And I, you know, even though he hasn't pitched well, I'd make something like that depending on what we're giving up. You know, obviously, I'm not giving up any of our huge prospects. But I could see if they were to throw in somebody like a Connor Norby or something like that, then I'll entertain the idea. But besides that, there's not too many. There really isn't too many like big starting pitchers out there either that I'd give up the farm for.
I mean, him, Freddie Peralta, maybe.
Yeah, Freddie Peralta. Yep.
Peralta's the name. Yeah.
What about you, Ace? I mean,
Evaldi's the name that's being thrown out there.
Yep. If you were George, Jason, what would you do? You would go out to Skeens, right?
Oh yeah, I think that's a George move. That's a George move. We can all dream, right?
Damn. That'd be a crazy trade. What about you, Ace?
Yeah, I mean the George move would definitely be, a big name. Like even Sandy is a big name. You know what I'm saying? Like, could you say like he's having 2-7 on the year, 8.47 ERA, strikeouts about 40? Could you say it's because he's still coming off of injury? He hasn't really been there. A change of scenery could do him well as well. Also, Matt Blake, what I'm saying, can work with him as well. We know how much of a magician Matt Blake is when it comes to the pitching staff. Yeah. Sandy's a big name, and it's a name that's controllable as well. And you look to the future, like, dude, imagine you have Max Fried, Garrett Cole back next year, and then you have Sandy. Keep in mind, Sandy's still only 29 years old. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Cole's not going to last forever. Max Fried is under contract for the next, 6-7 years, which is great. But imagine you having Sandy, Max Fried, Luis Hill coming back. Starting pitching's there, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I just don't think the Yankees will go unless something falls in their laps, because we are getting Luis Hill back. We know how this Yankee organization operates. They're going to look at Luis Hill and look at that like a trade deadline acquisition. We're getting an arm back. You know what I'm saying? So then we're going to have a nice little trio there with Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, who's having a very great year, and then you can put Luis Hill in between both of those in a series to split up the lefty, righty, lefty. And I think the Yankees are good to go. Clark Schmidt has also had a good year as far as for a starter, for number 4. You know what I'm saying? Clark Schmidt, a good number 3, a great number 4. You know what I'm saying? We've gotten good quality out of Yarborough as well. Will Warren has been a godsend. Is it going to be something that's going to continue to go forward? We'll see what happens. I think starting wise, that the Yankees might be good to go. But a name that's being thrown out there is Nathan Eovaldi. Do we reunite with him? But he's going to be costly, and his contract is pretty hefty as well.
Yeah, $25 million a year, right, for 3 years, and the trade proposal that's been going around is Spencer Jones and Everson Pereira for Nathan Eovaldi. And I don't know if you guys agree, but if I'm going to trade somebody like Spencer Jones, it's not going to be to a team in the American League. I don't want to have to be punished
talked about that before
all the time. So, like, I don't want to be the one to give up a dozen home runs to Spencer Jones every year. Trade to the National League, please.
Yeah.
I don't want to trade him at all, but I would rather trade him to the National League than the American League. What's your take, Jason? You have any thoughts on that?
Nah, I'm not. I don't think I'm giving them up for Eovaldi. Now we were talking Jacob deGrom, then we could entertain some things, but what do you think about like Nick Martinez or
Reds.
And even from the Reds? He could be a good long reliever out the bullpen or starter if we need him.
Consigliere, thank you so much. Appreciate you, Consigliere. Nick Martinez, Brady Singer from the Reds. The Royals traded him for what the hell's his name? Jonathan India. And I think he has another controllable year. So that's another guy. I think the Reds could be a team that might sell some pieces off. I mean, they're not.
Yeah, I think they're setting up for the future. I don't think they're going to contend this year.
You get Tito a couple pieces, young controllable pieces to develop.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be all right.
Yeah.
He's good doing that. So, and to me, the George Steinbrenner would be like a Freddie Peralta. I'd love to say Paul Skeens, but I don't think he's getting moved. So, Freddie Peralta would probably be the George Steinbrenner move, I think.
The Pirates though, they got some good young pitchers in their system, like Bubba Chandler.
Yeah.
They got some studs down there.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. I just, I wish they would spend on players. Like, spend all the money that the Yankees are giving them in revenue sharing on freaking players.
Yeah, I know, right?
The Yankees give $130 million last year out of revenue sharing, and for teams like the Pirates are pocketing it. Like, pay Paul Skeens, pay him now, man. Otherwise, he's gonna walk.
He's gonna walk regardless, man. That organization is,
and he's gonna be 26 when he walks.
I know.
That's super young. Like
Yeah.
you don't see an ace like that at 26. If he keeps pitching this way, he's gonna get $400 million.
Oh, easy. Easy.
It's like, my God, man, that's crazy. Like another guy, and to me, Tyler Anderson from the Angels is a guy I think would be the most like. I think that they're going to stick to the logical route too, because I do agree that Louis Hill's probably going to be considered more of a trade deadline acquisition than anything else, and they might not need if Yarbrough keeps pitching this way, they might not need to add a big arm. They might just load up on an infielder and a reliever, probably a good reliever. So, I don't know if you guys heard. Alexis Diaz, brother of Edwin Diaz, got traded to the Dodgers today.
I did hear. You know, after that Tanner Scott outing, was it yesterday? I think Dodger Nation, man, the fans they ready to throw that guy out the window too. We thought we had it bad with Devin Williams. They're going through with Tanner Scott.
They gave that dude big money too.
Yeah.
Kirby Yates too. Yeah, I think Kirby Yates on IL now. I think.
Yeah, he's hurt with a hamstring. I think.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. But I think this is this is an opportunity for the Yankees to be kind of strategic, because I think the Tigers are going to be the team that I fear the most at the deadline.
Yeah.
They're going to be willing to trade prospects or pay a lot of do something. The other team that I think is going to make some type of big splash. I could see them getting Sandy Alcantara to add to Skubal, or Freddie Peralta to add to Skubal, and Flower.
Yeah, that's a scary. That's a scary team to face in the best of 7 or best of 5. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean that's a good team, and like all of a sudden Gleyber Torres is discovering himself now, and like some of these other guys, the Trey Sweeney and the rest of them. That's a scary team, man. And I think they're only going to add to it. So now, logically, infielders. If you were Hal, how would you approach it? And you were George, how would you approach it? Who would you be targeting? Jace, what do you think, man?
Me, you know the sexy name. Oh my bad, was it you, Ace? Or
I thought he said Jace.
Jace or
That's
Ace?
What I thought he said.
I don't know. It's close.
All right. I mean, the sexy names that are out there. I mean, Yoaniro Suarez is a name that's out there. You know what I'm saying? That a lot of people are starting to rave about. Josh Young's name is being brought up a lot now too. You know what I'm saying, with the Texas Rangers, as they're kind of middle of the pack, 27 and 30. You know what I'm saying? But he'll be costly as well. Suarez, the bat, fielding will take a little bit of a drop off. I'm not sure how his bat plays in Yankee Stadium, considering he's a heavy pull hitter on top of that. You know what I'm saying? Those are our deepest parts of the ballpark. Yeah. If he was more of a spread hitter, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would say definitely take a shot at him. We just saw a guy that's name's being brought up, Moncada. His name is being brought up as well. Yankees have some options. You know, Jason from 161, you know what, that's soaking both of you guys at Jason. You know who I want. I want Alec Bohm or Ke'Bryan Hayes. Those are the two names that I'm very interested in. Ke'Bryan Hayes, we had a discussion about him. You know what I'm saying? He's a guy that's very controllable and not too costly. And then if you do find an upgrade, he's a guy that's easily to get rid of, because he's only getting $7 million for the next couple of years. Alec Bohm's contract won't block anybody either if, the guy that we're talking about is George Lombard Jr. if he comes up and play third base. I think the Yankees need a guy that can contribute either in the middle or the bottom of the order while also being controllable but not blocking George Lombard Jr. from coming up. You know what I'm saying? Right. Those are the things that the Yankees really have to deal with, because the last thing you want to do is go get a third baseman that's tied up for 7 years, 15, 16, 17 million dollars, and then what? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why the flexibility of Jazz helps as well, because, if you decide to move Jazz, who's to say you don't get a guy like Ahmed Rosario, whose name has been thrown out there. And the Yankees have been tied to him a few times as well. We couldn't get him this offseason, but Rosario, dude, 303 right now, 2 home runs, a .03 WAR. I'd plug him in at second base, move Jazz over to third. You know what I'm saying? He can play shortstop, second base, and the outfield. I'd be okay with that. Put him at the bottom of the order. He'll hit for average. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need somebody at the bottom of the order that can just keep the line moving. And it just depends on what the Yankees do. Suarez will definitely provide you with that pop. A guy like Rosario will definitely provide you with the average. And Josh Young, at 27 years old, could definitely be a young star, but he'll be the most costly.
Yeah, speaking of cost saving, man, my fear would be like if I was George Steinbrenner, he would probably trade Lombard to the Twins for Carlos Correa. That would be a George Steinbrenner move,
That'd be the worst move ever.
right?
It would.
It was
You can't trust
disaster,
Correa's health.
total
Mhm.
disaster. But I could see him making a move like that. So, like, Hal won't do that. Cashman won't do that. So, thank the heavens. But
Yeah.
that's a total George move. But again, like other infield options, Ryan McMahon is a guy I'm keeping my eye out for as a strategic option too for third base because he's getting another controllable year or two, and he won't really be blocking Lombard. So, and he might not be a righty, but I think a change of scenery would be good for him out of Colorado. And he's shown that he was a pretty good hitter. He hit the Yankees pretty well in that series. So he's got a good bat, and he's a good defender too on a pretty reasonable contract, right? Donovan's the sexy name for me. I like Brian Hayes. I like Bohm too. Those are the guys I think. I mean, unless you're going after someone like Royce Lewis or something like that from the Twins, but he's got I think a bunch of controllable years too. But I agree with you, Ace. I don't want to do anything to block Lombard.
Yeah, I think it depends on what the Yankees what their plans for the future is, right? Because if you go after like a Moncada or Suarez, that's effectively a rental, right?
Yep.
Those guys will be free agents next year, so that kind of you leave a pathway for Lombard to make his way up there. But what's to say he's going to be ready next year? You know, so it depends on what they're going for. You know, if they want controllable years, obviously that might cost a little bit more. So I mean, the front office I'll be honest, they've done a good job this year, and I'm a big critic of the Yankees front office, but they have, man, they made me eat my words every step of the way this year so far, and I'll admit it. But I think that they got to navigate that. They got to balance. Like, okay, what do they want here? Do they want another utility guy? Maybe like Oswaldo gave us, you know. In that case, maybe you go with somebody like I've been looking a lot at Lennon Sosa from the White Sox. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Yeah.
He's not going to give you crazy power numbers, but he could play a couple positions. Has a decent bat. You know, so Cashman got his work cut out for him.
And I think the name still to look out for is Nolan Arenado. I'm not ruling him out. And I think the one reason is, to me, also because he's obviously an elite defender, but he also has played first base. So if Paul Goldschmidt somehow leaves next year, you can move Arenado to first base. And if George Lombard's ready, he could play third. Or if not, you can bring in somebody as a placeholder for Lombard for third. So, and Arenado wouldn't block anybody. So that's the name I kind of worry about, but I'm still looking for.
Yeah, I think if Goldie walks, I think Rice gets that first shot.
I think he should
at first base. But you know, the flexibility of, like I said, the flexibility of Jazz makes it, you know, so that way we don't necessarily have, like Ken was saying, George Lombard Jr. might be able to go to second. You know what I'm saying? Somewhere on the infield. Jazz go to third. You know what I'm saying? That's the flexibility of Jazz. Jazz is still under control for a couple more years as well. Me personally, as a Yankees, I'd extend Jazz. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he'll be that expensive. You know, not like he's not going to get top dollar, and he's a guy that wants to be here. You know what I'm saying? If he's a guy that's willing to move over to third, get him that experience, because, you know, he's got the arm, he's got the athleticism. Realistically, it was the inexperience that kind of killed him. Realistically, we just have to add that infielder. You know, we need one more infielder, and I think we're ultimately good to go. But, you know, Jason was saying he wants somebody like an Oswaldo Cabrera. Ahmed Rosario can be that as well, and he's also cheap. You know, shortstop, playing second base, play the outfield as well. He's also that utility. You know, so, you know, another Swiss Army knife, because what we have on the bench isn't cutting it. Pablo Reyes, you forget he's even on the team. Peraza, I'm done with that one. DJ LeMahieu, oh gosh, like if DJ LeMahieu's starting and getting regular at bats by the trade deadline, this team did something majorly wrong. So that's why the Yankees have to kind of be aggressive, you know, at least now up into the trade deadline.
If you were to construct a bench from here forward, who would you move on from and who would you put in their place? Both you guys.
Let's say we're healthy. If we're completely healthy, like when everybody gets back, Stanton, Jazz, Reyes is gone. That's legit. I'd trade Peraza. Okay, logically, I personally would love to get rid of DJ LeMahieu, but the Yankee thing is they're not going to. We know that they're not going to. We know, you know, DJ LeMahieu's a clubhouse guy. We know he's getting paid a lot of money. So it's just the perfect storm of he's probably staying. Rice will probably end up going to the bench, realistically, when Giancarlo Stanton gets back. He'll be platooned, stuff like that. So you're looking at a bench of J.C. Escara, Ben Rice, DJ LeMahieu, Grisham. You're going to have to add another infielder. So what would you do? Would you move Ben Wright? Would you move J.C. Escara down? Because you can only have 4 infielders. You know what I'm saying? Like, it really depends on what you do, and it depends on how we attack this deadline.
Yeah, like what happens with Vivas too? Like, did they move Vivas? Like, I think
so. I think he gets moved back down.
Yeah, and the only option for Raz is to trade him because he doesn't have any options. So you can put him in a package for a reliever. Could you send him to the National League as part of a package for someone like Andrew Nardi to the Marlins? Get another reliever here, right? Something like that. Or could you trade him for a guy? Because the fixation, at least now in the common, like in the Yankees universe and all across baseball, is velocity, right? They want a lefty who throws really hard, right? Aside from Aroldis Chapman, there aren't many that might be available. The only one I can think of is Mason Montgomery. He's a lefty from the Tampa Bay Rays. He's got controllable years. He averages like 100 in his fastball. Could the Yankees price somebody like him away? I don't think anybody's even heard of the guy, but he throws hard as hell. And, there is a fixation with velocity with pitching, right? Can you get a lefty who throws darts like that? And again, could you get him without paying a ransom because he's from Tampa Bay? So I don't know.
Yeah.
But aside
from with Tampa now because they're winning now, so they're second place. Tampa Bay's right, 28 and 27. You know what I'm saying? If the wild card, I'm looking at the wild card standings, and this stuff matters because like you're gonna have to see who's in it, who's gonna be out of it. Tampa Bay, 2 games out of the wild card. They're not going to be sellers. You know what I'm saying? Like a week ago, we would have thought, yeah, they'll be sellers. Pete Fairbanks might be available out of the bullpen. A couple of other pieces might be available. But now they're 2 games out of that last wild card spot. Boston, they're dropping. You know what I'm saying? They're starting to plummet with all the shit they're dealing with. The Yankees could do themselves a favor if we end up putting them out when the next couple of games we face them. Could they be sellers as well? It's, over here in the AL, it's tough. You know what I'm saying? Like you look at the Angels who might be sellers. Athletics definitely sellers. Athletics, Baltimore, and White Sox definitely sellers. Angels 5 out. They're kind of right there, but it's still kind of early. And like we said before, Jason, the playoff format, it allows these teams to stay in it a little bit longer. So maybe they don't sell. You're gonna have to give up a good deal to get them somebody.
I wanted to ask you guys. So what do you think about Jesus Rodriguez? You think he's a viable option to kind of fill in that third base? He plays multiple positions.
That's right.
Maybe they bring him up here. At least let's see what we got with him. And then if he's just not ready for the big leagues, then maybe we go out in the trade market and try to fill it there.
If I could add something to that, if you're gonna call up Jesus Rodriguez, you got to play him.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing.
Pablo Reyes was killing it in spring training when he was playing. Now he's got garbage time. He's playing like shit, right? So, and I wouldn't want to call up Jesus Rodriguez to have him ride the bench and play once a week because it wouldn't be fair to him. So I think it's a decision that the Yankees are going to have to make. Is the better option to call up somebody like him, or is the better option to trade for somebody? And what's going to be the better route for the Yankees at this point? And
he's raking down there right now.
He's killing it. Right side too. He's a righty. He's tearing the cover off the ball.
Yeah.
I'd pull the trigger. Bring him up, man. Like, he can't be any worse than DJ LeMahieu. Can't be any worse than what Praz is doing. You know what I'm saying? Reyes is non-existent. Vivas, I like Vivas. I really do. The thing with the Yankees is they want players that are controllable, that are versatile, like Rodriguez, and, you know what I'm saying, that have options. You know what I'm saying? That's the biggest thing. That's why Praz is not that valuable, because he doesn't have any more options. They have no choice but to keep him up here. If it wasn't for that, they would have sent his ass down. Vivas is probably going to get sent down. Reyes is going to get cut. It's as simple as that. Like, Reyes is the next man to go. As soon as Jazz comes back, Reyes is gone. But I'd move up a guy like Rodriguez. Why not? Because, like, if you get Jazz back and Rodriguez kills it over at third base, that's your solution right there without having to give up anything. Like, take the chance. You got to give the kids a chance to play. Sometimes the Yankees get too stuck in their ways with these veterans like DJ LeMahieu. Like, we think we think DJ still has, something left. No, he doesn't. He's cooked. Like, there's no reason he should be playing every day. I'd rather give the at-bats to Vivas and Peraza every day.
And the way I see it, too, is like you're paying DJ's contract one way or the other. You're paying it. So you could either play him and not get production, or sit him and play somebody else and get better production. You're still paying DJ's contract. So get the better production for the position. because you're still paying for it
Mhm.
anyway. So, and Jesus Rodriguez is already on the 40 man, right? So you can call him up for no additional cost. It's not going to cost you anything, as opposed to trading a boatload of guys for Nolan Arenado or Ryan McMahon or someone else. Like the only balls to the wall trade I would make would be Brendan Donovan, like for a position player. I can't see anybody else that I'm willing to give up a lot for. He's my guy. I've been talking about him for 2 years. It's like,
I know.
Yeah.
You have.
so,
I'm-
like
Well, like I said, I'm in love with the Almed Rosario trade because,
he's
like
a
I said,
good
he's
player.
cost efficient and he's a versatile piece that we can. Look, I miss Cabrera, I really do. Like
Yeah.
Cabrera, infield, outfield, stuff like that. But at least for now, Rosario can be that Swiss Army knife that we have coming off the bench as well. He can start a couple of games, come off the bench, get you a couple of hits. I'm right there with it, but Yankees definitely have some decisions they got to make.
He hits righty, right? Ahmed Rosario?
Yes.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Moncada is the only switch hitter
Switch hitter. Right?
that I brought up. Yeah. So
This is why I wanted to have this talk, because it's the Hal Steinbrenner thought process be completely different than the George Steinbrenner thought process. So, and I want people to think because there's so much a fixation on get the expensive player, right? Get the guy. The best player is not always the best fit, right? The expensive guy is not always the best fit. This is why I think the strategic approach is probably a better option right now for the Yankees. And like to your point too, Jason, too, like they did do extremely well pivoting from what they had last year, right? It's a longer lineup. It's more fundamentally sound. They're in the top three at almost every offensive category but stolen bases.
Yeah.
Without Soto, without Stanton, without Jazz, and they're top without these guys. So it's just a testament to they did a good job this offseason bringing in guys.
Oh, they did an excellent job.
Yeah, in a very non-sexy way. Like Paul Goldschmidt was not the sexy move, but like Brian Cashman he never gets credit for the moves he doesn't make.
Yeah.
Right? Like he could have gotten Christian Walker. He could have paid $180 million for Willie Adames.
Yeah. Look how that worked out, right?
Yeah, and he would be getting hell right now. They would be wanting him to get stung by a hive of bees. So like, but, instead he's got Volpe, and Volpe is, the fact of the matter is he's performing pretty well for a starting shortstop right now. So he's not Bobby Witt Jr., but it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be.
With Volpe, because I catch myself too sometimes, like, falling into, but you got to zoom out, right? You got to zoom out a little bit. Like, take your mind away from the last 3 at bats you just saw and zoom out. And he's actually pretty good. His the numbers, the analytics love him. The numbers are there. Like he's one of the top shortstops in the league, like it or not. It may not seem like it though, right? It doesn't. When you look at the numbers, you're like, wait a minute,
He's on pace for like 20 homers, 90 ribbies. So 780 OPS, like that's pretty good. And like the Yankees, I don't know if I mentioned this to you guys the other day, but the Yankees right now, they have 10 guys over 700 in the OPS. And 5 of them are over 800. They haven't had that type of depth in I can't like over a decade. So, and this is, I think it's the most non-sexy first place team ever with the Yankees. But
absolutely,
I'll take it. It's like the underdog first place team.
Yeah.
Can I ask you guys something?
Yeah.
Like who's expendable? Who do you think is expendable on this team right now? I've been thinking about that a lot today because I love Ben Rice. I don't want to see him go, right? But
you're gonna piss
off a lot of times, a lot of the trade talks I've been hearing, his name comes up in there, and I'm like, how do you let go of a bat like that? But then there's really no place for him to play at the same time. I don't know. It's gonna be tough.
Move his ass to third. Been saying it. I've been saying it. Why not? But I don't know. I mean, I would hate to get rid of a Ben Rice because of his versatility. First DH, he could also catch.
Yeah.
Maybe you send Escara back down, or you have Ben Rice as the backup catcher just to be able to get him that playing time because he is batting better than Austin Wells as well. But as far as expendable on this team,
Reyes,
I feel like every piece right now is essential. You know, well, I'm thinking starter wise. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, Reyes definitely because he's got no
Yeah,
value on
we're
the
going.
team. You know, I'm thinking of the everyday starters. Once Giancarlo Stanton comes back, it's going to be hard to get Rice every day at bats. It really is because Stanton's going to get the priority at DH. If we're just talking about, if we're talking about the pitching as well, Ian Hamilton's expendable. Tim Hill is expendable. You know what I'm saying? Get those guys out of there. Bringing in, when Luis Hill gets back, Ryan Yarborough's probably going to the bullpen. I'd get rid of Tim Hill, and I'd put Ryan Yarbrough in that long relief / lefty spot right there. That'd be an easy transition for him. Ian Hamilton, even though he had a good outing the other day, I'd get rid of him as soon as Jake Cousins comes back.
Yeah.
But it's going to be tough. Like, I see what you're saying as far as Rice's name is being brought up, because realistically, here's the thing when it comes to making any of these trades. You got to give up something to get something. You can't just get something for free. Ben Rice is the name that's out there. I wouldn't want to give him up, but, if it's going to hold us up from like a Sandy Alcantara, if it's going to hold us up from a need that we need, like a Suarez or, a Josh Young, I'm not going to stop it from, or like me and Jason talked about the other day, Paul Skeens, I'm not going to stop it from, I'm not keeping Rice to say, nah, we're not getting Paul Skeens because we got Rice.
I don't think I'd give up Rice for those guys, no. But I feel
Paul
like
Skeens, you wouldn't give up Rice for Paul Skeens?
No, Paul Skeens definitely, but not like Suarez and stuff. I don't think I would. I don't know. I was just thinking, like, if I was the GM for whatever team, right, who's trying to make a trade with the Yankees, who do you think they're asking for? Like,
well,
and I think Rice is one of those guys that they probably see a lot of value in, or Spencer Jones.
Lombard Jr., they get asked for. We know how it is when it comes to the Yankees. The Yankee tax is real. Rice is getting asked for, just like I'm sure Volpe was getting asked for a lot too. Probably not now. But, George, I imagine anytime Hal picks up the phone, the conversation starts with Spencer Jones, George Lombard Jr., and Ben Rice.
Yep. Then they go into Ben Hess and all these other guys down there that they want.
He's dealing too.
Which that's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine. Jason and I had a good conversation about that the other day. It's the Yankee mantra. It's the Yankee MO to get rid of pitching and bring in actual proven commodities at pitchers. You know what I'm saying? Look at what we did for Soto. We got rid of a bunch of arms. You know what I'm saying? I have no problem with that, especially with the rotation that we have now. If you were to get rid of like a Ben Hess and it brings in somebody, I'm okay with that. The Yankees keep the position players but get rid of the pitching prospects.
Is there anybody that you would give up Ben Rice for?
Oh, I think when you start talking names like Paul Skeens, that's just he's out of this world, man. I would love to have Paul Skeens, but it's tough. You know what? Brendan Donovan, I think about it, you put him in a trade like that. Huh?
It's gotta be, to me, it's gotta be the National League. Yeah, I'm not trading to the American League team. I'm pick our assets.
Yeah, with Sandy, like the thing with Sandy is that I'm sure he'll he's gonna figure it all out, but we haven't seen him really pitch like a Cy Young, this year so far, coming back off of his Tommy John. So I don't know. That's kind of a gamble there to me,
Yeah, that's why I think my eyes on Freddie Peralta. If they're gonna go for a pitcher, it's got to be probably Freddie Peralta.
Oh, Peralta, yeah.
Or like you and I talked about, Jason, I'd give up Ben Rice for Grayson Rodriguez. That'd be trading him in a division, but that's going to be expensive. Jason, Grayson Rodriguez, very young. You know what I'm saying? Should be coming back from injury. Baltimore sellers. Rice is a good key piece that they would look for. That type of stuff. I'd eat that.
How many
years? You got to face Rice a couple times.
How many years of control does Grayson Rodriguez have? 3, 4, something like that.
I looked it up the contract the other day. I'm about to look at it right now.
I mean, Rice has got 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's got 5 years of control. Controllable years is value, man.
I know. Yeah, that's the thing,
Yeah, and like that's like Brendan Donovan's got 3. So
yeah.
Peralta's, I think,
Grayson this year, 770 on the payroll. Then he enters 2 years of pre-arbitration. So he's very controllable.
And he's got Arb. He's got 5 years. He's got 5 more years of control.
Yeah,
dude, he's not even getting paid $100,000. I mean, he's not even getting paid like $1 million.
Yeah, the league minimum is what, 700,000, something like that.
Yeah, I'd give a Rice for him. I would.
Damn. That's a. That's probably a scenario you'd have to entertain. And could you get Grayson Rodriguez for Ben Rice only? Would you have to
No,
add?
no, not because of the division tax. You got a Yankee tax and you got a division tax. I think Ben Rice would be a key piece, and then you'd probably have to give up a couple of arms. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think you would have to give up like a Spencer Jones or like anything like that, or even like a George Lombard Jr. But I think you would have to attach a couple of arms to it, and I
Henry
think
Williams.
they might do it. Yeah,
But my thing is just it's not a move that the Yankees need to make right now. I
that's true.
think
It's not
that's the
necessity.
thing. Um, we'll see though. As these things have a way of figuring themselves out, right?
Well, it's crazy too because like if a lot of like when you think the Yankees are gonna do nothing, then they strike, and then when you think they're gonna strike, they do nothing. So
Yeah.
they're so
Yeah,
unpredictable that I
hmm
can never tell. But like we know the reporting now is that they're going after a right-handed third baseman and a reliever and potentially a start. That's all we know. But like we
hmm
don't know any of the details behind that. So we're getting there's a lot of names being put forth out there, but like Nathan Eovaldi, that's an expensive ask, man. That's big money. So
Yeah.
and the expectation is going to be probably Jones and Pereira, and so that's a lot, man. It's a lot for Nathan Eovaldi. So I don't know. Like in a George Steinbrenner world, he would probably do that, but Hal won't
yeah,
do
but
that.
you're taking on a lot of that You would have to get them to eat some of that contract
Yeah,
because
25
that
million
contract
years.
is crazy. Yeah,
But they just didn't
but
they just sign him though?
Yeah, 3 years, 25
3
million.
years exactly. I don't
you know,
know.
but
That's
as far as
money.
starting pitching, I think we're good to go. I think the Yankees are gonna ride this out. You know what I'm saying, and cross their fingers that no one else gets injured. But bullpen's a realistic like thing that you're gonna add. And there's a guy that we just faced not too long ago, that I'm interested in. I mean, you and I had to talk about it. Jake Bird,
From the
dude.
Rockies.
So yeah,
Yeah.
29 years old, a 1.6, leading the league in strikeouts. He got tagged the other day, but you might be able to chalk that up to it was pouring rain and it was against us. You know what I'm
hmm
saying? But a 1.6 ERA, 39 strikeouts. You know what I'm saying? 1.5 WAR. He's a guy that's going to be a hot target on a struggling, historically bad Rockies team. I'd rather get him sooner rather than later. What will it cost you? Probably some middle of the road prospects. I don't foresee you. You're not going to give up top dollar for a middle of the road reliever. You know what I'm saying? A guy like him, Felix Bautista's name is being thrown out there a lot. You know what I'm saying? Imagine a back end in the bullpen of either Bautista / Bird, Devin Williams, and Jonathan Loizaga and Luke Weaver. Dude, that's a
Oh,
shut down nasty bullpen right there. That's
hmm
That's lights out in the 6th inning. You know what I'm saying? Like that's something I would definitely do. Kyle Finnegan's name is being thrown out there as well. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like I think reliever is a position that Yankees will attack because we attack it every deadline. It just depends on what you're going to give up. But I'd be okay with Bird. Batista, I would be okay with, but we'd have to give up a lot because of the Yankee tax and division tax. But
Yeah.
if I was to rank them, I'd say I want Bird, Batista, and then Kyle Finnegan. That'd be my ranking.
That's a pretty good. That's a pretty good order. I like Finnegan too. I do think Bird. I mean, do you think Bird will be made available? Could be. The Rockies suck.
Yeah, everybody's available over there. The only thing with Bird that because I looked into him when we faced him and I was like, who is this guy? He's pitching a what? Um, but could this year be an outlier? When you look at his previous years, he don't have those numbers. So that's the only thing that will worry me.
Mhm.
But I like his delivery. It's a little funky. I like pitchers like that. But
Doesn't he throw like 102? He's got heat, right?
uh,
Yes.
I can't remember. But he throws hard.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
see. It was hard to tell because I think like when I was watching him throw, not the rain game though. The game I think it was a Friday game. I
Hmm.
could have swore the display hit 100, but one of the displays said 90, like 7. But like they were both displays were kind of confused. Like the real time display, I could have swore I saw triple digits, but then the game day display was only like 98. So I think it's around that. But like Jason was saying, I mean I understand, you know what I'm saying, the concern, but you also got to consider Matt Blake knows how to fix these guys
Yeah.
and get them right. So
So I'm looking at his baseball savant and his four seam. The average miles per hour is about 94 to 95. He got a sinker, curve, cutter. He got a nice pitch mix. He does. Um,
What's take a look at Mason Montgomery. Check out his savant from Tampa Bay Rays.
mhm.
What his his numbers are at in terms of his fastball. He's generally known as one of the harder throwers in.
Oh yeah, he's averaging a 99-mile-per-hour fastball for seems, but then he's only a 2-pitch pitcher though. But when you throw that hard, that's all you really need, right?
It's from the lefty side too.
Yeah, and his slider's 90 miles per hour. It's crazy.
So that's the type of lefty that I would want. Like,
but I hate 2-pitch pitchers though, because
Yeah.
you got you 50-50, and the harder the ball comes in, the harder it goes out. So it's like,
Yeah. It's true too. Matt Blake would have to develop a third pitch on him. But that's the type of guy I think would be a good fit. Like Finnegan and Bird would be a good fit too. Like, aside from that, man, I can't really tell because I think it's going to be slim pickings, man. Guys, I really think it's going to be slim pickings because of the expanded playoffs, and it's going to be harder to make deals. So that any deals are going to be an overpay, which I think is one reason why the Yankees are trying to be aggressive right now before the prices get crazy high. And I think don't be surprised if they bring in someone like Andrew Heaney again, or freaking Tyler Anderson from the Angels. One of these guys, just as a depth piece. You got JT Brubaker coming back and Clayton Beater, but I could see them bringing in another guy who can throw multiple innings. But I honestly think like Sandy Alcantara. I worry about him going to the Tigers. That's my or Freddie Peralta going to the Tigers. I think the Tigers are going to get somebody's big arm. They're going to somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see the Tigers being very aggressive because they're kind of like, dude, last year they came out of nowhere. This year I had them as a dark horse to make moves. So they're kind of right there, you know what I'm saying? And they're playing very, very well right now. I could see Seattle trying to be aggressive as well because they're another 30-win team. I can see Cleveland trying to be aggressive because they're about 30 wins. They're about 6 out, you know what I'm saying? But when it comes to the wild card, Cleveland's leading the wild card. So teams like that have to be aggressive. Look for Houston to maybe be aggressive as well. Kansas City is a team that, they're one game out. You know what I'm saying? They could afford to kind of be aggressive as well. But this is why I say Yankees need to be aggressive now. Don't wait to the trade deadline when everybody's bidding and it gets more expensive.
True. Can you see anybody getting Luis Robert? I can see the Mariners getting, or the Padres getting him.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
Definitely needs a change of scenery. I think it's definitely.
Yeah, he does. Has he been healthy this year? That's the thing with them. Like, you got to stay healthy.
Healthy but not productive. I think he's under the Mendoza line. He's not playing well. And I'm
he's 190 on the year.
Yeah, so I think the Padres, you surround them with a better team. The Mariners could use another bat. Like, I think one of those places at some on the West Coast will probably do him some good, Luis Robert. And it's about time for the White Sox to kind of move on. They move on from Crochet already. About time to move on from Robert and kind of start to really rebuild.
I wonder what the Orioles are gonna do with Cedric Mullins. They're obviously gonna trade him.
Watch out for the Braves.
Braves?
They have to replace Jurickson Profar.
Mm-hmm.
He got suspended for 80 games when he first got there.
And they signed Verdugo.
They did sign Verdugo. And Acuna's back now too.
And Acuna's back, so I don't know. We'll see. But I know the Orioles are going to move him. They have to.
They have to. Yeah, 100%. They got to move him. I think the Braves are going to be a legitimate option for Cedric Mullins. Even the Phillies, they could be an option for Cedric Mullins too.
Mm-hmm. What about the Mets? Right? Maybe no.
Possibly.
Yeah, they got a right fielder out there that stinks, so they might be aggressive for an outfielder. So
who plays third base for us? Brett Beatty?
Brett Beatty right now, but that's the whole the Vientos Beatty debate.
Thing, yeah.
Yeah. I could see the Mets quietly getting like a bat. I think Mullins, is going to get moved. I think Luis Robert's going to get moved to a team that no one's expecting. I think Luis Robert. I think it's more predictable with Cedric Mullins. But like as it pertains to the Yankees, man, like if you were to zero into 3 moves, like what are the 3 moves or 2 or 3 moves the Yankees absolutely have to make for this deadline?
As far as people or positions?
Yeah. Whatever, just like the best fits. Like what would make the Yankees better? What 2 or 3 players would make the Yankees better?
Another infielder. It's a glaring weakness. We need another infielder. That goes without saying. Bullpen, we're gonna be getting some guys back. Also, shout out to everybody in the chat, man. You guys have been amazing. We got a lot of people in here. Make sure you guys hit that like, guys, and sub up to Jason for 161. He does a great job with the Yankees. But yeah, infielders a glaring weakness. Like you have to, especially like the Yankees offense the last couple of games has been, our pitching has been top tier. Our pitching has been carrying us. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna need another infielder. It's as simple as that. I feel like we just got Jonathan Loaiza back. We are getting Jake Cousins back as well. If I was to rank the needs, we're gonna need another infielder is top of the list, and then bullpen outside of that. A third need, we're getting Luis Hill back. I would say, I think an infielder and right-handed hitter go hand in hand. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't see the Yankees bringing in like a Ryan McMahon because he's a lefty, but you're going to need to get yourself another right-handed bat and another infielder. So if you can solve, that problem with one player, that'd be amazing.
Would the Yankees do this right here? Steve would be saying trade Devin Williams to the Phillies for Alec Bohm.
I've heard that out there. I personally wouldn't want to get rid of Devin Williams right now because like you're weakening a strength of our team, which is like I get it. I can see the argument both ways because you're not guaranteed to bring back Devin Williams next year. You know what I'm saying? And most Yankee fans won't want him back next year. Me personally, I would want Devin Williams back because I know that when he's on, he's one of the best closers in the league. Mm-hmm. You and I talked about this before. I'd feel more comfortable packaging some relievers to them for Alec Bohm. I wouldn't want to give up Luke Weaver. I wouldn't want to give up Devin Williams. I wouldn't want to give up Jonathan Loaiza because I feel like it's a strength. I want to add on to the bullpen, not take away from it.
And like with Alec Bohm and Nolan Arenado, they seem to be the only right-handed bats that might be available, and the other bats are going to be lefty bats. So it's again limiting. But I would agree. I want to keep Devin Williams. I want to keep that three-headed monster in the bullpen, man.
Mm-hmm.
And add another piece to it. Like I don't want to do it the other way around because we're going to need that bullpen. If we get to the Dodgers again, you're going to need that bullpen to face that offense.
Oh yeah,
Tigers.
That was
look at Knights.
Last year in the postseason. That was one of our real weaknesses. Boone only had the circle of trust, right? There's 4-5 bullpen arms, and you just can't survive in the postseason like that. You got to have a bullpen.
And to your point too, like folks on like Devin Williams had a little rough spot recently, but like he has 3 consecutive years with a sub-2 ERA. 3 consecutive years after a bad start in April. So he gets better as the season progresses, Devin Williams. So and I think he's like slowly finding his way in New York. He really, really is. So I think it'd be a good idea to keep him. I really, really do think it's going to be a good idea to keep him. And I hope they do.
Go
ahead, Ace.
What Braden said, man, I like Candelario's having a bad year, but I liked Candelario. I liked Jaime Candelario last season. I want the Yankees to get him, but dude is batting 113 on the year.
The Reds, right? With the Reds?
I could have swore with the Reds. I could have swore he just came back off injury as well. Yeah, he's on the 10-day IL. So, but Candelario, that versatile piece as well. You know what I'm saying? Third base, first baseman as well. I wanted Candelario last year.
I remember, yeah. Spencer Torkelson, too. Where the hell is he? Where's Torkelson? He's with the Tigers? I don't know where he's. I don't know where's
Spencer
Torkelson. I thought he was with the Tigers. But I'm not sure. And yes, they did give up on. Well, they said Larry Rothschild.
Yeah, Torkelson's with the Tigers. Yep.
Tigers, right? Larry Rothschild tried to change Sonny Gray's repertoire when he brought him here. Like, I don't know why they tried to change it. I mean, I thought the reason they brought Sonny Gray here was because he was doing what he was doing. And then they tried to change him, and it didn't work. So,
yeah,
I would not have done that. I would have kept Sonny Gray the way he is. He was good.
Yeah, that's the thing that scratched my head with the Yankees. I don't know if it's a Yankee decision or if it's a player decision. Because remember, Sonny Gray, Yankees took away one of his best pitches, and they're doing the same thing with Devin Williams. Devin Williams is not throwing that cutter this year, so I don't know if it's by design. I don't know if Matt Blake and company are seeing something. They're like, okay, let's get rid of that pitch. But you got to if the pitch, you got to have a good pitch mix up there. You know what I'm saying? You can't just throw 2 pitches. Devin Williams throws 2 pitches, fastball. hang a changeup. You know what I'm saying? Like the other day, he was hanging it and he got hit around.
Yeah.
Like a guy like Devin Williams is like, who was it that was saying CCA saying Devin Williams isn't coming back if he's not a closer? I agree with that. He's probably not coming back if he's not going to be the closer because closers make more money.
Yeah, and the fact is, Luke Weaver's got ice in his veins, man. That dude is he's got ice in his veins here. He is a good fit here. So
my only thing with Weaver is that but any closer you can't pitch him every day, obviously. But you can see that he fatigues, after 2 days, that's his limit, and I wouldn't push it past that.
I agree, man. Which is why I think having these reinforcements coming back is going to be a good thing for the Yankees because you have some fresh arms coming back, give some of these guys a little bit of a breather. And I like Fernando Cruz, his ability to throw multiple innings, right? And like Brubaker coming back, his ability to throw those guys. The multiple inning things is the value part for me, and I think like long relief is an important bridge from the rotation to the short relief. It's that nice security blanket. If we have a couple long relievers, it'll help preserve the short relief guys in the bullpen.
Yeah.
And help the Yankees utilize them.
Silver Sapphire in the chat mentioned Anthony Bender. I'm not familiar with it. I'm gonna pull up his stats here. I think I could pull it up. You can see it there.
Bender.
1.59 ERA.
Where's he at?
Miami.
Marlins?
Yeah. Him and Connor Norby. Norby's a fine player. The thing is he's not proven, but I was looking at his minor league stats. And he dominated the minor leagues, He was drafted by the Orioles and I think he was a second round pick. But I think he went over there with what's the other guy's name? Stowers. Oh man, the Marlins lucked out with him. That kid he's pretty good.
Yeah.
What
do we think of Freddie? Braden, I think Freddie Peralta's worth is going to be pretty significant. You're going to have to give up a big piece for Freddie Peralta. With the way he's pitching. Ryan Helsley from the Cardinals. That's another guy. Maybe I see. The problem is I can't see the Cardinals really selling off pieces and the way that they're playing. And like the one piece the only one piece I want them to sell, they're not freaking selling. So
yeah, Cardinals are last. Cardinals own that final wild card spot. So same thing, and the Brewers are 3.5 out. So it's hard to say what teams are going to sell. You know what I'm saying? Because there are a lot of teams under 500, but that doesn't necessarily mean you become a seller. Like you got to look at you got to look at the actual seller dwellers. You know what I'm saying? You got to look at the Marlins, Pirates, Rockies, A's, Orioles, and White Sox. Those are the teams that are most likely going to end up selling. So
the thing with Ryan Helsley though, I don't think the Yankees are going to want to sign him because he'll be a free agent next year. No, I was reading Ken's comment and like a dude like that, man, I don't think the Yankees like to spend that much on bullpen arms,
Yeah, I mean, and that was crazy because Weaver's going to cost paper after this year.
Yeah,
he's going to.
I think he might take a little discount for us though, because he likes it here. He's been killing it. I could see Weaver's going to be less expensive than Devin Williams.
Yes, he will. Do you think Mason Miller could be moved by the A's?
That's going to be expensive. I gotta look up his contract, but I would love a Mason Miller. Mason Miller gives me. He worries me though. Mason Miller gives me big fish in a small market type vibes. Like, will that translate well somewhere else?
I worry like he could be, a couple of pitches away from Tommy John because he throws so hard. So, but when he's on, he's unhittable, man.
Did he not have Tommy John already?
No. I think he may have.
He had a hand injury last year. I think he had a hand injury last year. Yeah, but that wasn't on his throwing hand, though.
True.
I think it's gonna be tough for the A's. They need a draw, because they're gonna be. It looks like they're gonna be in Sacramento for a few years, right? Yeah. And they need names to draw people to the ballpark because they even in a minor league stadium they're not doing too great on attendance right now.
And they need to spend, man. They're going to get hit with a grievance by MLB for being under the threshold. Like the basement threshold. So.
Imagine you being in a minor league stadium and still can't sell out.
Yeah. Oh, the Rays
Terrible.
are averaging more fans in Steinbrenner Field than they were in their own stadium in Tampa. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah, that's a whole nother situation too, man. It's interesting.
yeah, man. So it's crazy, but like I mean, the Rays were averaging what a couple hundred fans a game in Tampa. Like they're averaging like 10,000 a game now.
Yep.
No, that's the Yankee aura, though. That's
This
because
is true too.
anytime they're attached to the Yankees, they're gonna make money.
Yeah,
So
this is true
Mm.
too. But I mean, well, like, yeah, exactly. Iron Hawaiian got to keep Matt Blake. You give me, yeah, you better lock down Matt Blake. Pay the man, please.
Yep. For
Pay
the Mets try to steal him, right? I feel like they
oh
take
yeah, we know how they do.
all our coaching staff. They want him.
yeah, yeah. But aside from that, guys, like, is there one player you're keeping your eyes on? Like saying, okay, I really want the Yankees to get this dude. Like we said some positions, but is there one player that you really want them to get?
I'm trying to
For me,
think.
it's Alec Bohm or Key Brian Hayes. Those are the two that I keep saying. You know what I'm saying? Like because like for the reasons I've said, those are two guys that don't block you for the future either. They can help you win now. And I feel like with Key Brian Hayes, he's not playing well, like 227, but a change of scenery might do him justice at the bottom of the order. Alec Bohm, 273. You know what I'm saying? Imagine him in the middle to the bottom of the order as well. You know what I'm saying? Like those are two guys that you can get off of too if you decide that when George Lombard Jr. comes up, they don't block you. So those are two guys that I'm looking for. And I feel like with Alec Bohm, it's a perfect trade scenario for the Yankees and Phillies because we have what they need, they have what we need. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's an easy fit.
He's got one more year. When's he free agent? 27.
I think he's got two. Let me see.
The thing with is that the Phillies are they're in first place, and then
They are.
like why would they? You would have to give them something that makes this worth their while right now, because they're not in a position of desperation. Like they're like up like 3 games in the division.
Like, could you give them?
They need a closer though. They need that back into the bullpen because their guy just got suspended.
You
So,
Yeah, a run.
Alec Bohm's got this year and then a year of arbitration before he's a free agent. So that's what I'm saying. 2027, George Lombard Jr. should be ready to go by then.
What would you give the Phillies for Alec Bohm? In all honesty, like, could you give him
You know what? I'd attach Fernando Cruz to that
Cruz and
for
Peraza?
Alec Bohm.
Give him
I
a
would
step.
see. I feel like you can't give away Peraza. The league sees what we see with Peraza. I feel like it's gonna hurt the Yankees to try to give up Peraza. But I would give up Fernando Cruz when he comes back. I would attach Fernando Cruz and maybe a couple of other arms. You know what I'm saying? Because then that still leaves you with Jonathan Loaizaga. That still leaves you with, Devin Williams, Luke Weaver on top of that. But you got to give up something to get something.
Yeah, it's fair enough. This is true.
know.
I like Fernando Cruz too. I hope they keep him, but I would be willing to give him up for Alec Bohm. Again, you could replace him with somebody else, Clayton Beater, something like that. No.
Yeah, because like that brother Bill said, you can't. When the Phillies closer comes back, you can't pitch in the playoffs. So
Yeah, he's ineligible. Yep. So that's the key. Like, and Fernando Cruz will probably be a good arm for them. And it just looks like Bohm needs to change the scenery. So, and I think it would. He'd be surrounded by like a different vibe here in New York. That would be an interesting trade, Alec Bohm.
Yeah, that's a blockbuster right there.
Yeah,
That
that would be a pretty big trade, actually. And I could see the Yankees. I mean, again, like, you're not giving up Spencer Jones. You're not giving up Clark Schmidt, like any of these guys. So,
you think Schmidt gets traded at some point? I'm not saying this year. You think he gets traded because especially next year when Cole comes back, you got Cole, Fried, Rodon, Hill. If Will Warren pans out the way they like him, Schmidt is a piece that can be valuable as well. Like what happens?
Who would you move him for?
I wouldn't move him this year.
It would have to
I
be
wouldn't move him this year.
No, I wouldn't move him this year either. I think it would have to be a bat. Like, Hmm. I don't know, man. I don't know. Could you get him for? Could you move for a controllable outfielder, just in case they don't get a guy like Kyle Tucker, right? An outfielder with controllable years. Lars
Possibly, unless you, or
Nootbaar.
you also don't want to. You also don't want a super controllable outfielder if Spencer Jones is like right around the corner. You know what I'm saying? Because you got um, Judge Dominguez is panning out. You still got Cody Bellinger's probably going to opt in next year. It's a great chance that he's going to opt in. He loves being a Yankee. You know what I'm saying? But you could also move Belly to first base if you need to. You know what I'm saying? He's played first base, I think, once or twice this season already. I'm sure. I'm almost positive he's going to opt in because he wanted to be here so bad. He's not going to spend 1 year here, and he's having a good year. And you know, you got Spencer Jones lurking. I think outfield, I think we're set for a little while when it comes to outfield. We just need these guys to pan out. We need Dominguez to keep being what he is, and we need Spencer Jones to pan out. I really think, you know, out infield wise is the problem. We need infield, and then like I said, you could always use bullpen. If the Yankees fuck around and get, you know, Josh Young, that'd be a blockbuster trade. You know what I'm saying? You get him, but then you got a young third baseman, and you're good to go. You know what I'm saying? But then that's also going to block a guy like George Lombard Jr. unless you decide to go get rid of or move on from Jazz and just let Jazz walk. You know,
Is there a first baseman you would move Schmidt for?
A first baseman?
Yeah, that seems to be the only position that I can't even think of one that might make sense to move Schmidt for. But like, who the hell would it be?
I don't think so. I think first we're good to go because like you do have Ben Rice. You know, you have Ben Rice that's probably going to be the future first baseman. Paul Goldschmidt, with how he's playing, I would not mind bringing him back for another year.
I wouldn't either.
Like, but you know, another year, maybe you add a couple more million onto that. I could see one more year, maybe about 15 million instead of 12 this year. But Paul Goldschmidt's been great. But that does block a guy like Ben Rice. First base is also a position that you can go get easily. You know what I'm saying? Look at the first baseman market this year. You know, and then you also got a guy like Murakami, who I have no aspirations the Yankees will end up with him, but he'll be out there. He'll be well sought after. Look at this year. Santana was a big name. Santana was out there. Like you said, Christian Walker was out there. We end up with Paul Goldschmidt. First base is definitely a position you can go get rather easily, but we have a guy in Rice that's can play every day.
Yeah, and at this point, it looks like he should because he's playing every day. He's probably going to have 25, 30 home runs. So, and that's a pretty damn good production from a kid, from a rookie. So, you know, we have several guys who can do that. So, who would you move Clark Schmidt for? I don't even know.
I mean, it would have to be a bat at some point in time. But like I said, we would ultimately have to see what would happen with that. But like this year, I wouldn't want to move Clark Schmidt. If the Yankees ended up trading Schmidt, I'd be surprised. Like if all of a sudden you saw breaking news, Yankees trade Schmidt, I'd be like, wow. Like unless it's for like an Alec Bohm, then I'd be like, okay. But they need a closer. They don't need a starter.
Yeah, I keep going back to there's only one person I would move Schmidt for. So,
Paul Skeens.
Donovan.
Yeah.
I'd probably move anybody for Skeens. So,
yeah.
That guy's a monster, man. He's a monster.
I'm not moving Jason Dominguez for Skeens, though. We had that conversation. Dominguez is the only thing that's holding up that trade for me. I'm not moving Dominguez.
Oh, yeah? Oh, no, I'll give him up in a heartbeat. I think you have to. He's just...
I can't.
This guy's out of this world.
Yeah, I mean...
And he's been good since his LSU days. Like, he's just built differently.
Yeah. He's a monster. He's a monster.
Another guy the Yankees could move on from this year. Everson Pereira might go. We've talked about him a few times. Like, where does he fit on this team?
Extra outfielder. Yeah.
Yeah, especially with Spencer Jones coming up.
Yep. Yeah, he could be moved for a bullpen. Maybe a bullpen. Like, could you move him to the Marlins for a reliever?
Yeah, I think that's a fair trade.
Right. And Marlins have some relievers. Could you move him to the Cardinals for a reliever? Like, I think so.
We also have to look at the teams that we have a history of finessing. The Pirates are one of them.
Pirates, yeah.
And the Marlins are another one. So, you know, Cashman's got them on speed dial under suckers. So, you know, maybe we end up getting that. Look, I'm gonna tell you this, and I've said this. This is out there, but I would love to get my hands on O'Neal Cruz. Put his ass at third, bro.
Shit.
Yeah.
You think you can?
It's not gonna happen.
Can he handle third? O'Neal Cruz?
Play shortstop, so
That's not right, yeah.
pretty sure.
And he plays
He
outfield.
definitely
He's
has the
very
arm.
athletic.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a cannon, dude.
What
Like,
would you
that? Schmidt would go. Rice would go. Because
Damn.
O'Neal Cruz is like 20 something. Schmidt and Rice is where it starts with. You might actually have to give up Spencer Jones, realistically,
Oh.
for O'Neal Cruz.
No,
But O'Neal
I
Cruz
think we're
is a beast that
overpaying
might have
now.
to go now.
All three?
I don't
Like,
know, bro.
Yeah.
That's a
No.
big.
I'm saying like Spencer Jones might start the conversation. But then you might have to get like you definitely throwing like a Clark Schmidt. But I think O'Neal Cruz, dude, is so perfect. I mean, if he was a righty, he'd be perfect too. Dude, him, being named after Paul O'Neill, it's too perfect, man. It really is.
Yeah. It's like the only 6'10" shortstop in like the world of history. So
Ellie De La Cruz too. Pretty
Yeah.
tall, right? Yeah.
The Reds are I'll take if the Reds are selling, every conversation with them starts with Ellie, but they're just wasting Ellie.
yeah. Yeah. It's like, come on, guys. What position is he at, Ellie? He's
Short.
Short, right?
Sure. I think they're trying him in the outfield because he was just making too much errors at shortstop at one point.
I wonder if he can handle second. Can he handle second? You move Jazz to third.
Or third.
Third, yeah.
Oh man, he'll be throwing 110 miles an hour from second base to first. Oh my goodness,
bro! Hell no. We saw what happened the other day with Vivas. Vivas legit beamed the ball like a foot away from Rice. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, calm down, bro. Relax. I've had that happen to me when I played first base before. Like, I had somebody like legit wind up and throw. I'm like, bro, we're right here. Relax.
Just lob it to me, man.
Yeah. Underhand that shit, bro. Like, damn. Like, we get it. You got an arm. We get it. I get it. Those are good for up the hole, but, not when you're standing a foot away from me.
Do you think the Pirates would trade O'Neal Cruz?
I don't think so.
Might as well. You're
I think
you're not building around him. You're not building around Skeens. What the hell are you doing? What are you guys doing?
It's sad because they should. They have some young talent on that team.
Yeah,
there's
man.
no reason why. I don't know. I don't know what's going on over there.
It's baffling.
I'm surprised they threw the money they threw at Brian Reynolds. Because
it's another name I've been hearing thrown around a lot. IKF. What do you think about the reuniting with him?
Reuniting is not going to feel so good. I'm good. I'm good. I don't want IKF.
I think off the bench, it's not a bad guy to have.
It's better than Reyes, but
oh, absolutely.
I think
we're better than Reyes.
Yeah, I think we
can go out there right now and get more production than Reyes.
Yeah, I think we need to make a significant improvement over Reyes. So
yeah,
I'm not sure, but like this is what Cashman. He's good at finding people with under the radar production and he's good finding relievers with like 4 controllable years. So in Cashman I trust when it comes to that type of stuff. But we'll see what the hell he's gonna do. I have no idea. But that's why I want to go ahead.
Custodio mentioned this earlier. Didn't you mention Dennis Santana?
Yes.
Oh yeah. I was thinking about I was just going through the Pirates. They got a lot of ex-Yankees over there. You know that. But he's doing better there. I don't know. I'm very skeptical of kind of, going back to players that failed when they were with us. But he is pitching better over there. So
is
think about.
So is Andrew Heaney.
Yeah.
I worry it's going to be another Javi Vasquez part 2. Like, which is one reason I would probably stay away from Heaney. His ERA was like 10,000 when he was here. So
yeah,
he came up like 8 runs a game. It's like, oh man,
I think the names that people are throwing around from the Pirates is what's his name, David Bednar, Dennis Santana, and there's a few more arms that could possibly be moved, but I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Is Jones one of them? Like Jared Jones, one of these guys?
I can't remember. I had it written down, but I left it in my car. Man. I apologize.
No, I think isn't Jones one of them? One of the younger arms. I can't see them moving on from him.
Yeah, who knows, man? The Pirates, it's like an
They're a shit
incompetent.
organization. They
Yeah,
really are. They're
terrible.
such a shit organization.
So maybe Cashman can pry something out of them that we're not thinking of.
Well, Jared Jones is on the 60-day, so he's not.
Is he?
He is
Okay.
one. He is one of their young arms, but he's on a 60-day.
All right.
Caleb Ferguson might be somebody they move on from.
Former Yankee.
Another former Yankee.
Yeah.
McCutcheon, another former Yankee. IKF.
Jesus.
Dennis Santana.
There's like five former Yankees, man.
Yeah, so I don't know. That team is just they're a joke, man. They just need
They're
to
awful.
make wholesale changes and give us O'Neal Cruz for cheap.
Yeah. Yeah. We're doing you guys a favor by taking O'Neal Cruz, okay? We're doing you a favor.
Yeah, it's an organization that couldn't even pay their $200,000 incentive bonus last year to a player, so they decided not to play him. What
Brutal.
a joke!
They've got so many problems over there. Their ushers are beating up fans. I don't know what's going on over there. I don't know what's going on over there.
That's one of the more beautiful stadiums too, man. It's a beautiful stadium.
Oh, yeah.
PNC, yeah. That Braden brings up an interesting name that we haven't talked about that is being thrown out there. Miguel Andujar.
Oh, yeah.
And
Maybe you reunite with him. You know what I'm saying? He could be that bench piece. That's a little move that you make that just bolsters up your depth.
And he does infield and outfield. He has that utility type role, so he can cover for Oswaldo Cabrera.
Replace Cabrera.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's the one thing that kind of, I don't know, I'm a little skeptical about that stadium over there. After we played there, I realized that the balls fly over there in that minor league stadium in Sacramento. I don't know. Does that have something to do with the numbers? I don't know. I'd have to look at the splits and stuff to see how he plays on the road and everything. But
it's better than an Oakland Stadium. The Oakland Stadium had like 200 feet on both sides of foul territory.
Oh, yeah.
Yankee Stadium, the ball would be 30 rows into the stands. It's already caught in the Oakland Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even like Coors. Look what happened with Coors. The ball flies out of there, but their park is so big. Like, it has to, the altitude has to help it fly out of there. Because this weekend, we saw so many balls that were hitting the gap that turned doubles into triples. I'm like, why is it taking the outfielder so long to get there? Like, that park is huge.
Yeah. Paul Goldschmidt, a triple off the wall. I remember that, man, in Colorado. It's true, man.
He said Miguel just never got a real shot. He had a shot with the Yankees. Then he hurt his shoulder, and that was all she wrote.
I think we messed him up too, to an extent, because we kept
moving
him around.
Yeah, and then Gio Urshela is another name that's been thrown around out there.
I like Gio.
I think he came after Andujar, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yep, and he's also with Oakland.
Yeah,
I like Gio. Gio's one of my favorites. I wouldn't mind bringing him back because realistically, Gio's cheap and he could play everywhere on the infield.
Is he still productive?
I haven't checked what his stats are, but
I mean, he's not as productive as he was when he was with the Twins that first year he went over there, but
a depth piece, because that's the one thing you want to say. You asked me 3 things the Yankees do need to prove on. Like I said, infielder, pitching, depth is another one. We need to figure out our depth because you can't have Pablo Reyes coming off the bench. You can't have Peraza coming off the bench. You need that right-handed piece that can come in and get you a clutch hit. Gio Urshela is a good piece that can come off the bench and get you a hit when you need it.
He's not playing too great though this year. He has a negative .8 WAR, batting .224, on base percentage .276, OPS .600. I mean, he's not having the best year, but it's just a name that's out there too.
Knicks are up by 16. Here you go, Jonathan. 184. Yeah, good. I don't think anybody's going to beat Oklahoma State, so no matter who.
Nah, that's a wrap.
That team is
the Pacers will probably beat them. Pacers will probably beat the Knicks in 6.
Probably because they go back to Indiana after, don't they? In 6?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, guys, this was great. I mean, thank you guys for coming on because I'm glad we both mentioned some names that we weren't thinking about, right? And maybe some of the fans and some of the viewers weren't thinking about too. And everybody in here, hit the like button, please, and make sure you subscribe to these gentlemen on the channel here. Okay, please do that. It's greatly appreciated. And guys, I want to thank you for coming on too. This is a fantastic conversation. And then, if you guys are willing, as we get closer to the deadline, I want to have you guys back on, and we'll do our MLB trade deadline predictions, our actual prediction. We'll have, and then we'll do that, probably in July, because we'll have a better idea of, where teams stand and what the needs might be and so on. We'll have more clarity. But I'd love to have you guys back on. Maybe we'll get Max on here too, and maybe NFE on here too. So we'll have a whole wrecking crew of guys on here to do that. But I think the MLB trade deadline predictions are going to be a good one. So if you guys are up for it, I'd love to have you back.
Cool. Definitely.
Gentlemen, thank you for coming on. This is great. This is really, really great. I appreciate the insight, and everybody in the chat. Shout out to all of you too for your comments, questions. Thank you. And guys, have a great weekend. Everybody in the chat, have a great weekend. We'll be back tomorrow. We get the Dodgers up next, right?
Big series.
Be a big series against the Dodgers. So, and we'll see. But I think it's a winnable series. It's a winnable series. Hopefully the Yankees can take advantage of the shaky bullpen. I don't know about you guys.
I think we take 2 out of 3. 2 out of
2
3.
out of 3. I'll take.
Yeah.
Definitely. We might as well go for the sweep, right?
I would love for them to light up Yamamoto, but nobody's really lighting up Yamamoto yet. So
yeah, he's pitched well.
Yeah, he's pretty damn good. So I got to figure out a way to, work the count on him, because that's one thing we didn't do last year. Work the count on Yamamoto. He made us look foolish last year, but it is what it is. But gentlemen, have a great night. Everybody in the chat, peace and love to all of you, and we'll catch you on the other side.